Hey, welcome to 100 Mile Drive, and today I have a 2024 Lexus RZ 300e, same for 2025 model. This car is a single motor front wheel drive with 201 horsepower and 266 total range. And I had this big question I wanted to answer. Why would anyone buy Lexus RZ versus, let's say, Tesla Model Y based on driving experience? Like, is there anything special about this car? And also, where does this car fit in Lexus lineup based on driving experience? Is it more like NX, or is it more like RX, or is it in its own class? Oh, and speaking of driving experience, my channel focuses on driving dynamics, and at 100 Mile Drive, I say before you buy a Lexus RZ 300e, don't just settle for a 5-minute test drive around the dealership block. Instead, rent a similar car and drive it for at least 100 miles in city streets, highway, and twisty roads to be able to answer the biggest question I'm answering on this channel: how does it feel to drive? And first, I'm going to drive Lexus RZ 300e in the city to talk about its acceleration, braking, steering, suspension, and basically what is it like living with this car in day-to-day life. Then I'm going to take you to the highway to talk about its comfort, sound insulation, and what is it like spending hours in this car. And then I'm going to take you to the twisty roads to basically see how it handles, what is its safety, and basically if somebody were to brake in front of me, would this car be able to handle such situation? And at the end of the video, I'll give you my desirable impression score, meaning would I buy this car after spending a day in it or not? And first, a 1-minute walk around this Lexus RZ 300e just to kind of give you my thoughts on exterior styling. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of the front fascia. I also don't like these two-tone kind of exterior styles. So maybe an all black looks kind of fine for me, but I think RX and NX look better. That's just my personal opinion. The side profile was a typical NX RX, so it looks just fine. These are 18-inch wheels, 235 18R60, very comfortable tires, which we'll discuss as I drive. Now, if you get the 20-inch optional wheels, now it'll shave off 40 miles of range. So I would personally stick with this. But then there's another problem that I'll discuss. Why, you can't really do that for a few reasons. Now, coming on the rear I think looks kind of fine, doesn't look bad, and then the part that I really don't like, I would even say hate, that Lexus does not give that tailgate that, with the button electric assist as standard. You literally have to lift it yourself. I mean, come on, this is not Toyota, right? This is Lexus, so you really have to throw it down and lift it yourself. I mean, that's a shame. They really want you to buy the premium so that, that comes with it, which is another 4 grand extra. Now, this is what the, trunk looks like. Not a lot of room here, but I'll show why, because they prioritize the leg room in the rear seats. All right, let's do a quick door sound check. Now, these are the doors that have a button in the middle that you have to open. And it just sounds okay. I mean, Lexus never had particularly exciting sounded doors, Also, when you just rent this car or buy it, you'll find it a little bit annoying as when you release the door, it doesn't close all the way all the time. Sometimes you have to slam it. Otherwise, it looks fine. All right, let's get on the inside. And getting on the inside Lexus RZ 300e, I just want to touch base on the interior quality of this car. Now, guys, starting with the doors, these are all soft touch materials. They feel really nice. This is also soft touch, some plastic trims, but they feel pretty good. This is your hard plastic, but again, nothing creaks or rattles, even though this car, of course, has only 2,000 miles, but still feels pretty good. All right, getting on the inside, the first thing you see and love in this car is the steering wheel. Even though it's a little thin, especially when you come from BMWs, but it feels so good. And this car has heated steering standard, so when it warms up a little bit, it feels so nice. I'm sure you're gonna appreciate that. Now, these materials here, all soft touch. These feel really, really nice. And even this feels nice, all soft touch. There's your plastic pieces here, everything nicely molded. The only issue I found is a little imperfection here, like this rubber piece and this plastic piece, they're not very well aligned. And when you press here, you can press it a little more excessive than, let's say, these materials. So there's something in this area which, doesn't feel very premium. There's a little flaw here. But it's barely noticeable. Now, the other part I really like in this car is the seats. These are new Lux seats. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but man, they feel so comfortable, guys. They're not super plush, but they're very comfy to sit in and spend hours, and I can definitely confirm that. The other thing I want to talk about, the cup holders, right? Let's do a quick test. Now, this is a Starbucks bottle, and it's not bad. There are some kind of guards that hold the bottle in place, and I've been driving with this, and it, you know, didn't get loose or anything like that. You can put this in the door pocket. This fits pretty well. So your 20-ounce bottle will be fine, but anything bigger than that might not be as good. And let me jump on in the rear seats to discuss the comfort in the rear. Oh, and another thing I wanted to show from this side, I didn't find a glove compartment. Where is it, guys? It's not there. So instead, they give you this niche tray right here where you can put your loose stuff. And even this is right here. So you can barely see it, but you know, you get something. And I'm sitting in the back seat of the Lexus RZ 300e. Guys, I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall, and I'm really comfortable back here, no problem. Again, seats are super comfortable. I can definitely spend many hours in the rear seats. Now here's the legroom space. There's still quite a few space here. It's a little bit raised floor. I mean, I can tell, right? My legs a little bit raised, but still it's very comfy in here. Now, one thing I wanted to show real quick, you get 2 USB-C and a proper 110 volt. Like, I can connect my laptop here and work in the back. The only downer here, of course, is there's no sunroof, but again, that's your premium package, which will get you this panoramic roof and open air experience. All right, let's go ahead and drive it. And first I'm gonna drive Lexus RZ 300e in the city. I'm gonna throw it in sport mode just to kind of give an impression. Active sound control, we're gonna do high, so that means it's gonna add some synthetic sound to it. All right, let's put the knob to drive and let's go. Just to get a feel for the acceleration. Now, the sound that they added here is something similar to what BMW did, but they used their famous composer Hans Zimmer. So this sounds very similar to that. So I don't know if Lexus has any partnership with anyone to create this electric sound. Now, what does it feel like accelerating in this RZ 300e? So first of all, it's a front wheel drive model. So if you accelerate a little, you know, fast, like if you floor it, basically, you will get a little bit of wheel slip, but there will be no torque steer. So it means your steering will not like shift left and right, and that is because there is a electromechanical steering, meaning it doesn't get any inputs from the road. It's just basically like a numb steering. All right, let's just try to accelerate. Accelerating, yeah, no wheel slip here. I did get it here and there a few times, but it's fairly well controlled. So I think they're doing a pretty good job actually in controlling that wheel slip. But for those who want more performance, this is where you get the RZ 450, which is all-wheel drive, and it has much more power, and basically it's faster. Now this one is rated 0 to 60 at 7.2 seconds. Does it feel fast? No. Does it feel satisfying? Yes. It's pretty decent for what it is. I don't really think you need much faster car, and I'll explain more why. Let's do one more acceleration. Let's go. Yeah, it does a good job, and again, no wheel slip. The sound they added is kind of nice, not bad. I kind of like it. Next, let's discuss brakes. Brake in this car feels a little heavy, like the pedal when you press the brake. I would even say feels a little mushy at the first, but as you spend more time with this car, it feels okay. You kind of get used to it, like your brain adjusts that you need to press it in a little bit different way to brake, but otherwise it's not bad. So braking, and it stops pretty decent. There is a little bit of a leaning forward, but it's fairly well controlled. It's not excessive, and it's also mostly because it's a comfortable car. So let's do one more braking right here. Brake and it stops. It reacts pretty well actually. It brakes pretty satisfying. Now next, let's talk about steering in this car. Now in the sport mode, it's a little bit heavier, and overall steering in this car is like medium I would say. Not light, not heavy. It's kind of like on the medium side. Now I'm gonna put it in normal mode, and it lightens up a little bit. I think a lot of people will drive it even in range mode. And now it's even a little bit lighter. So that's kind of pretty cool, and it feels pretty good. So one thing, as I already mentioned, it feels so nice to the touch, the steering, that you kind of just want to touch it all the time. And the other part of it, that it's pretty direct. Not like in NX, it was even more direct, which surprised me kind of for that vehicle. Here, it also feels pretty good. Like you kind of, move it and it kind of follows pretty well. Part of that is also a chassis control that I'm gonna discuss next as I'm gonna hit some bumpy roads. And one more time, I do wanna point out the seats in this car do a tremendous job. Like you really feel like you're in the right place. You feel comfortable. You feel you are in a good, luxurious, kind of luxurious cabin. Like I can tell it's not a Toyota. I can definitely say this is Lexus. And it, yes, does look more futuristic, like they planned it. And I would even say it does look better than, let's say, NX or RX. Like this whole thing they do with the dashboard, all these angles and this design, and how close and a screen kind of like towards me a little bit. I really like that, and I think it looks nice. It's also a massive, what is it, the 14-inch screen, so it looks pretty good. So let's hit the bumpy roads. And now driving RZ300E on the bumpy roads. This is my favorite Tampa Avenue. And let's discuss suspension. So one thing about RZ300E is that it has a nice suspension, meaning it is comfortable, but yet it's still athletic. Now this car is not more of a traditional crossover like, let's say, Kia EV6 or Volkswagen ID4. This car has athletic character as well, and that's what kind of hooked me up on this car initially, because it has a nice damping. Like it has a little gliding motion over these potholes or imperfections, but at the same time it is still sporty. So if you kind of want a sporty car but yet you want it to be still comfortable, this is a great car to get because it has really good ingredients. It has a nice comfortable seats, which are pretty soft and nice to sit in. It has a 60 thickness of a tires, meaning the tire impact with the road is pretty comfortable, and suspension does pretty good job in damping all these imperfections on the road. So overall, this car has really good manners where, like I said, it's pretty athletic in a sense. It's has its firm character, but yet it is really, really comfortable. And then I looked up the suspension because I drove NX 350h on this channel, which has run flat tires, which ruin that experience. But even the suspension also felt kind of like bumpy as well. So I was like, you're sitting in a nice NX cabin, but the ride quality is not not on par, basically. Then I drove RX, and by the way, you can watch all my RX videos. In fact, a video of me comparing all the trims. By the way, there's a snippet here shown right here on the screen of that video where I compare all the RX trims. And RX feels nice. They have actually 3 types of suspensions they use in RX trims. And the RX 350 base is one I also liked a lot. Because it has something called swing valve, where it basically dampens pretty well at low speeds, and it changes the damping at the higher speeds. So this car feels somewhat similar. And when I looked up the suspension on this car, the rear suspension has something called it's frequency reactive dampers. I keep forgetting this. Basically, there is some type of electronic system for the rear suspension that basically strikes this balance between comfort and this sporty ride. And you feel it. When you're driving this car, you feel that this suspension is a bit more sophisticated than in your NX. And that answers the questions. Does this car feel like NX? No, this car feels more comfortable than NX. And that way it feels more premium. The ride quality is more premium. Does it feel something like RX? In some way, yes, but then this car a bit heavier, kind of. It's smaller and it feels more fun than RX. RX feels more traditional. RX 350 feels a bit more traditional car, like it's a bigger and it's not as fun as this one. Now the RX 500h is the different animal. There's a lot more ingredients, and you can watch that video where I discussed all about RX 500h. But nevertheless, this car is in its own category, which makes it both fun to drive and pretty practical, I would say, crossover. So again, this car will work for anyone, ladies, gentlemen. If you don't your preference is not like a fast speed, like you're not looking to, you know, accelerate all the time fast, you're not looking to, you know, very crisp handling. But even though the handling in this car is also not bad at all, and I'm gonna discuss it on the twisty roads, then this car will work well for you, because it definitely like steers pretty nicely. I do like the ride quality in this car. I definitely like the cabin because it feels pretty upscale. Now let's go ahead and go to the highway. All right, I'm about to merge the highway, and I'm again experiencing these bumpy roads here just to kind of appreciate the suspension. Another thing I keep hearing now is there's a little rattle from the front here. I don't know if there's a plastic piece up here that's causing this, or there's something else, but it's a bit surprising to hear some very obvious rattle in the car that has only 2,000 miles on it. Anyway, let's go ahead and hit the highway. I'm gonna go to the normal mode, as basically that's what most guys will probably use. Yeah, you might even hear this rattle in the video as well. And let's see how it does. All right, let's go. Pretty easy on ramp. Yeah, one thing is when your wheels get a little bit off balance, and when you floor it, that's when your steering will kind of dance a little bit in your hands. But it's, you know, it's not bad. It's just something to consider for front wheel drive cars. All right, so first let's quickly check the sound insulation in this car. I have my meter. Let's go to 65. It's about 62. 62 is not bad. So my car, let's say X3, is about 64. So it means this is more quiet, a little bit more quiet. And honestly, it feels that way. I wouldn't say it's very, very like good sound insulation, but I think it's definitely better than in my X3. Yeah, I hear, you know, cars a little bit around me here and there. I don't hear much of the road noise, like I don't hear my tires. This way, I really, really like these 18-inch tires, because they are soft and they just feel right in this car. There's a sun right in my eyes here. All right, next, let's talk about the mid-range power in this car, right? Like, what does it feel like? Is it sufficient, this 201 horsepower? So I'm gonna floor it in a few different modes. So floor it. Nice, man. That one thing about electric cars, because last week I reviewed the BMW X1, and there, you know, you discuss how many gears it has to shift. Here is just instantaneous. Once again, floor it. Oh man, you say it and it just does it immediately. Yeah, you can tell it's not like a really powerful car. Now let's actually change it to sport, right, and see how it does it. Is it gonna be the reaction, or is it gonna actually have more power? Floor it. No, it's the same amount of power. Yeah, honestly, don't even know if it made any difference. Okay, let me try one more time. Once again, floor it. Yeah, it's about the same. So yes, it is not like really fast. It's not like throwing you in your seat, but it's there. It's decent enough to overtake cars. And with this instant torque that electric cars give you, it just, you know, satisfying. That's the word to say here. And lastly, I just want to discuss, so what is it like driving this car for long journeys, right? Yesterday I spent some time with my wife driving this car, and then we kind of discussed it, and overall it's pretty good. The seats, guys, again, third time I'm mentioning seats. Seats are really nice in this Lexus. Lexus does a great job in their seats. I know some of you guys criticize it here and there for like RX cars, like RX 500h, but this car, RZ 300e, has really good seats, and I definitely enjoy them. Now, the other thing I want to point out real quick is that I personally like premium audio, and I know Lexus has Mark Levinson, and for example, in RX trim, like RX 350h or 350, with the Premium Plus, you can add that. But here, they only give you your base, then there's premium and luxury, and the Mark Levinson, you cannot add in the premium package. So they kind of want you to spend like $8,000 more to get the luxury, to lose 40 miles of range, because you're getting those fancy wheels. and that's the only way to get Mark Levinson. So I don't know if, you know, the premium cars come to the dealership with Mark Levinson. Sometimes that happens when it's not listed on the website, but you can still get a lower package with the Mark Levinson. So if your audio thing is the thing, then it's a little of a downer that you have to step up all the way to luxury package to get Mark Levinson. Otherwise, premium package is the way to go. I already mentioned that, and a lot of reviewers like Car and Driver say exact same thing, and I also feel the most value in that because of the range primarily as well. So there you have it, guys. So let me go ahead and hit the twisty road. So we're gonna discuss balance and safety of this car. And now I'm gonna drive Lexus RZ 300e on the twisty road. I'm gonna put it in sport mode. All right, let's go. We have our amplified sound, which sounds actually all right. I like it. I like it. It kind of supplements this no sound, right, for all the EVs. That's the problem with the electric cars, that they have no sounds. I mean, some people absolutely like it. Personally, like if you are a car enthusiast, then you kind of want to hear something. All right, so if you're watching 100 Mile Drive for the first time, well, this is basically reason why I bring cars on the twisty roads, is that you can see the balance and safety of these cars, right? This is where you get to see how does the chassis behave, like is this a safe car at all? And I don't have to drive it fast here on public roads. It's just enough for me to kind of let it twist a little bit, you know. Also, I'm always going downhill, so I don't have to put too much speed right in the corners, and then front tires will be loaded more. So how does RZ 300e feel to drive on the twisty roads? Well, here's the thing, this car does hook up pretty well. Now, you don't get that feel of low center of gravity that, let's say, the Tesla Model Y has, where it kind of pulls you down. It doesn't have that. This is more of a traditional approach. Yet this chassis is very stable. It does lean in the corner, but it holds pretty well. So you can even have fun in this car. Yes, the tires are a huge limitation here, right? If you have grippier, more low profile tires, they'll hold better. But even with these tires, you can have fun with this car. It doesn't dance, it doesn't wobble. Now, the only thing I do see a little bit is that because public roads are not perfect, right? You have all these cracked pavements and stuff. So it has a little bit of tendency to jump a little bit here and there, where let's say cars like BMW will have electronic suspension that'll press it down, because you want things to be flatter here, you want things to be firmer here, and that's where this car will feel like, you know, it's more built for comfort and obviously not for higher speeds. But nevertheless, it does show its athletic character, because look, it holds pretty well. It holds pretty well. And then if the tires lose a little bit of a grip, if it understeers, then it's predictable, it's controllable, so you don't feel panicked, which means if somebody brakes in front of you, you will be able to basically overtake that car, provided you know what to do. So that's exactly why I encourage you guys to drive cars, unless you're in Florida, on the twisty roads, you know, so you can learn more about your own car and understand it better. Steering is nice. I like the steering. It's in, you know, sport mode, it tightens up and it feels a bit more direct. All right, this is one more. We can drop a little bit of speed and then see how the chassis behaves. Nice, nice. It does a fantastic job. Yeah, this is exactly what I want to see from the car, is that in the corner, even if it's a softer suspension, but it kind of behaves predictable and it holds, it goes to the corner. It doesn't, you know, try to do something funky. The chassis basically feels stable, and that's really good. And, you know, that leaning that it has is pretty normal. It's predictable and it just feels fine. So guys, a very quick demonstration just to basically discuss that this RZ300e, despite being a comfortable vehicle, but it has the athletic character, and it's even better and more noticeable in this car versus, let's say, the NX, Lexus NX. All right, let me go ahead and summarize it now. Alright guys, and I just finished driving Lexus RZ 300e in the city, highway, and twisty roads, and here's the answer to my most important question. What is it like driving this car compared to the Tesla Model Y, and why would you buy this over the Tesla Model Y, right? So here's the thing. If you are someone who transitioning from a regular gas car, let's say the Lexus NX, right, and you don't want that full EV experience, I call these cars transition cars. Meaning you jumping into EV and literally the most difference you see is that you have to charge it versus putting gas into it. But everything else feels about the same. You have the 2-screen setup, you have pretty much same interior, same buttons, all the same tech, right? Pretty much same everything, right? Adjusting of your meters and so on and so forth, and it drives pretty much the same, right? Like you don't have that low center of gravity feel in this car versus, let's say, the Tesla. Now, the Tesla car is for those who want the pure EV experience, meaning when you drive Tesla, it's more agile, the steering response is much more direct, crispier, especially in the Model 3, and even in Model Y, it's more direct. Acceleration is about the same in the rear-wheel drive because they made it more like a chilled acceleration. But nevertheless, it still feels more responsive. It's more bumpy, it's firmer for sure, the previous model, right? Not the Juniper that just came out. Well, not here in the United States at least. And the low center of gravity when you drive it on twisty roads, the Model Y, it has that impression like it's being pulled down. So it handles much more nimble and more agile than, let's say, this car. So if you want a smooth transition, then this is the car to get. If you want more comfort, luxury, then this is a car to get. If you want a pure EV experience and more tech with more settings and stuff, then the Model Y is the car to get. And finally, what is my desirable impression score? And that'll be 8 out of 10. And would I buy this car? Yes, I would buy this car after spending a day with it. I kind of liked it, honestly. I liked the suspension in this. I liked the steering response, and overall, it has good manners, and I definitely enjoyed it. So I hope you liked this video. Let me know what you think. Are you considering this? Have you already bought this? And what is your a long kind of term, comments and impressions of this car? And if you want to watch my video where I compared all Lexus RX trims, make sure to watch this video. And if you want to watch the most sophisticated RX 500h, make sure to watch this video. And I'll catch you next time.